Good afternoon, hello, welcome to Goalmouth Scramble. Bit of a different voice for you today. Tom is ill in bed, but there's four of us in the studio to discuss a boatload of things. Firstly, Jason Hamburger, how are we?
Good, thank you.
Good. Ryan Smart.
Yeah, I'm great, thanks.
And Oli Portlock.
Hello.
Well, usually on this show we have the tendency to record and then go home and great story breaks or someone's sacked, but we're quite lucky today that Claudio Ranieri has replaced Jokanovic at Fulham, so I think we'll start with that. Anyone really? What do we think?
Big move.
I think it's an interesting one, to be honest. I was waiting for a few weeks for Jokanovic to go, really, after appalling results this year. Everyone expected Fulham to be challenging for maybe top 10, even similar to Wolves. Made a lot of signings in the summer, but disappointed, and it's sad, really, because he was a manager that everyone had high hopes for this season, and he did wonders last year, but just a failure to adapt, really, to the Premier League. Just trying to attack too much, and there was no balance, and there was just a very soft underbelly of that team. And Ranieri, excited to have him back after Leicester's success. It's great to have that Italian man back. He's such a legend.
That's true. Fun fact, courtesy of the BBC, Slavisa Jokanovic was Claudio Ranieri's first signing as Chelsea boss.
Yeah, weird.
What a stat.
You know what I mean? That's quite freaky, but I'm a big fan of the Tinker Man. And I think
we all are. You can't dislike Claudio Ranieri.
Exactly. I totally agree.
He is a legend.
Unless you're a Greece fan.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan brings.
He has done well at every
good
club
point,
he's
well
been
made.
at, really.
You know, international management perhaps wasn't for him.
No.
But I don't know. I mean, I remember, was it last season? He was pulling up stumps at Nantes in Ligue 1 because, you know, a mediocre team who were, doing really well. Emulating almost, well, not quite, but sort of emulating the form that Leicester were going through under him. And obviously, it was a bit unfortunate at Leicester towards the end, but it was one of those tough decisions that they had to take. And he carried on his great reputation at Nantes, and I don't really know why he left Nantes or got sacked.
To be honest, interesting story was that one of my friends was in France at the time when
Of course he was.
Just of course, yeah, and he actually met Claudio Ranieri in an Italian restaurant. Would you believe it? The absolute.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it? I'll show you the picture.
Why was he?
It was just on holiday in France, and he didn't even know that Ranieri was manager of Nantes at the time, but he just got him, had a picture with him, spoke to him, and apparently, according to my friend, he said that Ranieri said he didn't really rate the team, he wasn't really enjoying it.
I'm not surprised.
So yeah, interesting scoop, but
Jason Hamburger exclusive.
well, Ranieri, to be honest, everyone kind of has this picture of him being like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, but he knows how to manage. He's a very good manager, and he understands what teams need when he gets in there. He went to Leicester. He had a clear sort of identity, counter-attack, strong defence. Kante sitting in front of the defence. He will go to Fulham, and I think he'll identify the weaknesses and he'll have them rigid defensively. And I don't think they'll concede as many goals as they have done. And I think he'll see Mitrovic as being a key player. And I think they'll be fine this season. I really do. I think it's a good appointment.
I think it'll be quite a challenge for him. Probably the hardest job in the Prem at the moment. Looking at the defence, the state that it's in. Obviously, he's got a reputation for sorting out defences, but it's definitely going to be tough for him. I think it'll be a bit of a culture shock for the players, having played that sort of possession style, that passing style, to come in and Ranieri to sort of play more of a counter-attacking style, as you said, a little bit more focused on defence. But I think if there's going to be any man to save them, looking at the short list of managers they were after, sort of Allardyce, Steve Bruce, Pardew, I think he's definitely definitely the best choice.
I think
it's
I'm available.
I think there's just a balance that's needed, really. I think they've got a very good attackers, very good midfield players. Just having that balance there and picking a back four, consistent back four. They've chopped and changed the whole season with the teams.
And the keepers as well.
Yeah, they need to pick an 11 and just a core players that they're going to rely on throughout the season. You say it's a hard job, but I think there are harder jobs. I look at Southampton, I look at Huddersfield, I look at Cardiff. There are three worst teams in the league. I know that people compare them to QPR, both being obviously a South West London team, but also sign a lot of players in the summer, and no one really knows do they have that real drive and determination? Is there that real strength mentally, and can they go throughout the season and get results at tough games and grind out results? People have questioned them, but I do think now they've really resolved the managerial issue, and they're not cut adrift like other teams have been, because it's such a poor bottom six this year. There's no one really cut adrift at the bottom. They've got 5 points, won one game in 12, but they're only 3 points off the bottom three. So really, they win the next game. I think they're home to Southampton, which is an ideal game to really get a win and get out of that bottom three, even after just one game. They're really in a position where they're not in trouble.
Do you think that's going to be an actual tough game though? Because it's
to be honest,
bottom of the table clash.
It is, but it's an ideal game for Ranieri because, to be honest, I didn't see the Liverpool game, but I heard they were actually quite unlucky. They scored a goal that was probably onside, and there was actually improved performance. And I look at Southampton and I see them in more trouble than Fulham. They've got no real goal scorers. Hughes has been there a long time, and they've just been in a poor situation for a few years. Les Reed, the chief executive, got sacked, and they've not really got.
That was a good move.
It was a good move because the recruitment's been awful, and that's not just Hughes' fault really. The recruitment's been awful. They struggled to score goals at home, and they struggled to pick up results. They've won one game all season. I really can't. I think Hughes is probably favourite to get sacked. Really, if they lose that game at Fulham, I think he'll be gone.
And I agree with you, but it was quite controversial at the weekend with obviously the Charlie Austin post-match interview doing the rounds, and there's an element of bad luck as well. More recently, I'd say, they have ground out a couple of results against like Bournemouth. I mean,
a couple of 0-0s and draws and stuff.
When you're at the bottom of the table or in that area, you're keeping a clean sheet. You can't really begrudge that. But I agree. I think Hughes is in. Well, I can't believe he's not been sacked already. But I think, he'll probably want to channel that sort of anger and rage from the disallowed goal, which was totally
that goal should have
farcical.
counted.
Yeah,
but they who they were playing again?
Watford.
They should have had a clear penalty. Chalobah was brought down. It's one of the worst decisions I've seen. He got clearly fouled.
True, but
tackle from behind. So although they're arguing about they should have had a goal, that goal should have stood, etc. I mean, there was a clear penalty denied, so it's 50-50 really.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just think, it comes back to the point of VAR, doesn't it?
Yeah, VAR has got to be introduced in the next year or two. It really does, because so many bad decisions have gone against teams already.
How long do we reckon Hughes will last then? Do you reckon he'll get? Is it inevitable? Going to be?
The thing is, I think this season you're going to need. You could stay up with 30 points this year, which is, would be a real, rare occasion because it's happened. 40 points is usually what you kind of need, or 38. But because there's so many teams, that just the massive gap between the top and the bottom. None of the bottom teams are picking up points against the top half, so they're just fighting against each other. So it depends, because Southampton are still not in massive trouble, even though they're just in that group of teams who are on like 6 or 7 points. So it's, I think, to be honest, I think if they lose to Fulham, then I think they would pull the trigger. He'll get the international break probably, and maybe he can work with his players and maybe train, work hard to get a result. But if you're losing to Fulham, it's a crucial game that they can't afford to lose that. Then I think they'll be in the bottom three, and they'll be on the same points as Fulham. So I think if they lose that, then he'll go.
Just back on Fulham, do we think this was the right decision? Have they done it a bit too quickly? Obviously, Fulham have waited a long time to get, not a long time, but a long time to get back into the Premier League. I view them as a Premier League club anyway, and it just wasn't working out. 5 points, other teams starting to pick up points around them, and maybe they felt they didn't have any other choice in the end, and Ranieri will definitely come and give them a lift. I think those players need that lift.
Yeah, I agree. I think the owner's pretty ambitious, and his plans to buy Wembley pretty well publicised to sort of build that up and maybe even get Fulham into there one day. So I think that just underlines his ambitions, and he'll obviously want to stay in the Premier League. And I think Ranieri, as we've said before, is the best manager to do that. And then maybe a few years down the line, they can maybe bring in someone else to push them on to that next level. But I think had they kept Djukanovic, they would have been in trouble. The way they've been playing, the defence just hasn't been good enough, despite the sort of style of play being pretty pleasing on the eye. And I think a change was definitely needed, and it's probably the right time as well.
Jokanovic was clearly the right man to get them up.
Yeah.
And although it was a ruthless decision, you've got to say they gave him as much time as, they've lost to Huddersfield and Cardiff. And, if you're losing to both of those teams, and it really is, you can't defend the decision, really. They were awful away at Huddersfield. They conceded 4 goals to Cardiff. That's inexcusable, really. I mean, it's poor. It is poor. So, no, it was the right decision, unfortunately. I always find it tough when you sack a manager that got you into the Premier League. But sometimes it just doesn't suit the league, or doesn't.
It's about making the step up,
You've got to be ruthless, and you've got to sometimes just go with what's needed. And Fulham just weren't going the right way under Jokanovic. They were just sinking, and they need someone. They need an upturning form. They need someone to just go in there and just understand what's needed. And I don't think Jokanovic was that man.
I don't think they could afford to go down, given all the money they've spent.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cardiff are sticking with Warnock, but it's a sort of a different situation. Whereas I think they expected to be right down there, whereas Fulham have really backed him, and I think they'd want to be mid-table around now. And seeing how Wolves are doing as well, it must be quite frustrating for them.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, I think the media and everyone else was kind of just waiting around, and was, we're halfway through November, and there hasn't been a sacking, had there, before this one?
No.
I think a lot of people maybe thought it was going to be Jokanovic or Hughes, and it was just a matter of time. But you think about it, and Khan's giving him plenty of time. It's just not worked out, and with another manager coming in who is as experienced with Premier League football and dealing with high profile or high earning players, because like you say, they spent in excess of 100 million on players that could have gone to Champions League clubs or even Europa League clubs. I look at Schürrle, and he's doing fantastic. It's probably a move he needed, but he could easily have gone to a club playing Champions League football. Same with Jean-Michel Seri. And when it's not going your way, these sorts of players, depending on their ego,
January coming soon as well. They could want to.
Yeah, they might demand a move.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably good that they made a good choice in Ranieri. I don't think. A great British manager would have been very encouraging or inspiring. Yeah, it may have kept him up, but he's never going to be more than a one-season job with one of these Pardew's or Allardyce's.
As we saw, put Pardew in that same bracket as Allardyce.
His West Brom job last year, I think, probably says
he won't
to
get
me
a job. I don't think he'll get a job again. No,
job.
Allardyce, yeah, but
okay,
not.
But I think Pardew divides opinion. I mean, he has a great initial start, and then
pretty good at the start.
He just fades away, and I'm always surprised when I see him get another job, to be fair.
It's a joke.
I don't think we'll see that anytime soon.
I hope not, because give another man a try. But
it's that group of managers, isn't it? Sort of Allardyce.
To be honest, Allardyce, he's never really done a bad job. To be honest, Sam Allardyce, he's always done what he says on the tin, really, with Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, he just gets a lot of stick for it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But he would keep Fulham up, and that is, I know they wanted more, but they're in a position now where they probably take safety.
I think at least with Ranieri, though, they can actually see further than the end of the season with him.
Yeah.
Like he's got potential, like he did at Leicester and wherever else. Yeah. That he can actually build up a team and take them to success. Obviously, I don't believe they'll win the Premier League in a season or two's time, but I think under his leadership, and he will be a pull to players coming in as well. I think he could easily get mid-table, maybe this season, next season, and towards the end of next season or season after, pushing for Europa League. I mean, obviously, Premier League's more open than ever. It's a competitive league.
Do you think?
I think so. I think towards once you get past. Well, yeah, because you look at Man City. And you look at how many games they've won and the goals they've scored, and they've still got Chelsea and Liverpool that are still.
The thing is, it's competitive in terms of the top 5 beat everyone else, but I don't want to say that's not. In my opinion, that isn't competitive. The top 5 this season have lost one game to outside to the other 15 teams, which was Tottenham, Lille, and they lost to Watford. No one else has dropped any points. It's just most of the games are just easy 3-0, 4-0s for City, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Yeah,
Tottenham.
I think there's sort of 3 tables emerging, isn't
there?
Yeah, sort of
exactly.
The top 5, 6, and your Wolves, your Brighton, your Leicesters, Evertons, and then
Man United.
and then your bottom 6.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, competitive in that sense that you can't really pick 3 teams to go down right now because, like we saw with our predictions, which will come in later, we had about you top with 5 points, Jason, and that's because, like you said in previous this podcast, it's unpredictable. You know, who would expect Huddersfield getting anything from a draw at West Ham and then Cardiff, you know, winning? It's big Solomon Bamba, you know. He's a big unit. You know, it's one of those where this season I'm like, well, you know, I mean, it's biased, but Cardiff, you shouldn't be winning. Huddersfield, you should be down already. And it's simply not the case.
Well, they were at home. I mean, on unusual weeks this season, Huddersfield and Cardiff haven't been picking any points.
Yeah, but you look against Liverpool, they were unlucky to a certain extent. And, you know, it's one of those where it's part of the game, you know, just a bit of bad luck. And when you are down that end of the table...
They just don't have quality to score goals.
Well, you know, they brought in Isaac Mbenza, who was meant to be this kind of revolutionary signing because he's done well in France. I think he got into double figures for, it was either goals or assists last season, and you know he was one to be picked up by better teams than Huddersfield, and somehow they got him. But he's not performed up to standards, and it's one of these where a lot of it is, for me, through recruitment policies. And you look at Southampton now, and they're having a full-scale investigation into football operations, and that's why Les Reed has gone, because they've realised the recruitment's just not been good enough. And
which is weird, because a few years ago they were literally the leading team for that kind of...
Well, exactly, but, you know, it can only take one person to go to one of the top 6 teams or abroad from these sorts of clubs, and the whole strategy is kind of in tatters just because, you know, it was all based around one person's vision perhaps. And I guess with clubs like Southampton and that, they'll need that one person who's a focal point to kind of head up the operations, but it needs to be a collective thing as well, so that if they do leave, which, you know, if success comes, they will leave, especially with scouting, you know, they've got other people that can share ideas, and you know, it's it's one of those. It's just part of evolving with the game, really. But yeah.
All right, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, we're doing things a bit differently this week. We usually plan what we're going to talk about out a bit more, but this week everyone's brought their idea or story to discuss, not told anyone else. We'll start with no one other than Jason. Let's hear it.
So the first idea that I was thinking of was the Wayne Rooney call-up, which came as a surprise to many, including me. Obviously, he overtook Bobby Charlton as the record goal scorer, but it just kind of came as a weird time to do it, especially now with Southgate establishing a squad, a young group of players, and it just didn't seem as of a thing that Allardyce would do. Southgate. I don't know why I said Allardyce. I think because we were talking about it before.
You've been dreaming about it.
Yeah, because Southgate would do, although he did replace Allardyce, but yeah, it just didn't come as a thing that you'd expect from him. He obviously has an emphasis on young players, and you know, I just don't understand why they've done it, really. I know they wanted to appreciate what he's done and celebrate his career, but there's maybe many other players that have achieved a lot with England, and they've never done that. I know they did it with Lucas Podolski, but Rooney was the record goal scorer, but he didn't actually achieve that much part of an England team. Major tournaments, he never performed apart from Euro 2004. So, you know, you can see what.
Sorry.
He never achieved anything.
In terms of tournaments, I agree with you. He didn't.
Yes, and that's what a player
gets
decided upon. Harry Kane's already done more than Wayne Rooney in his international career. Fact.
To answer your question, I understand why people are a bit sceptical about it. Personally, I think it's a nice idea. I mean, it's not like he's going to play the whole game. He's going to come on for about 20 minutes, get a big round of applause. The game should be wrapped up by then anyway. But I don't really buy this whole idea that it goes against what Southgate's tried to implement and stuff like that. I don't question if it'll affect the younger players and how seriously
it won't affect anything.
How seriously they take the game. How seriously going to take it anyway? Really, it's friendly against America, and it just so happens that he's playing over there. I think he'll get a lot of attention on the game, and it'd be nice to give him that send off. I think, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a nice gesture from England to allow Rooney to have sort of a testimonial type game. I read somewhere that Southgate had suggested it a few months before the World Cup, but Rooney turned it down, which I suppose says a lot about his character, sort of his passion for England, wanting to see them do well. and plus all the quite a bit of the proceedings goes to charity as well. Is Wayne Rooney Foundation for disadvantaged children. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And
Yeah,
as you say, it's only 10 minutes of a game that really doesn't matter, and it's only a friendly against the USA, as you say.
It's not like he's totally past it either. It's not like you're bringing Emil Heskey back or someone like that.
He's probably one of the most informed English strikers. And
come on. Come on.
You can question the quality of the MLS. But he scored, what, 15 goals since he's joined. And I think he'll be a good influence on the camp as well, sort of bringing his experience in and helping the younger players like Callum Wilson to improve and sort of get used to England style of play and improve as a player as well.
Ollie, anything to add?
I'm in two minds. I don't want to emulate the Germans with Podolski. I'm not that fussed about doing that. I think it's a great cause, but I just don't really see why it's got to involve their senior team. Like, I don't know, it's just like a proper random time.
Yeah, why can't he just do it? Why can't he have his own game? And why can't he just call it the Wayne Rooney charity game?
Yeah.
The gate receipts aren't even going to his foundation. So why don't we just have a game in the summer? He can play the whole game, and why does he have to disrupt the England stuff?
I think that was an argument that the players are going to get capped for it. So you either take it as a serious game,
and
or you don't.
And the club teams, for example, if you Guardiola, Mourinho, Klopp, what they're going to say about this game? Players risking their fitness for sort of a rubbish game, like a game that doesn't mean anything.
An exhibition match,
which it is anyway. Friendlies shouldn't. That's why the Nations League's been good, because it's been competitive and people have enjoyed watching it. The Spain-England game's a proper game of football, but these kind of games are just not, and that's what made people hate the international break. But at least bringing some meaning back with the Nations League. But this game will not be one to watch.
No, I've got to agree with Jason there, and Peter Shilton, who said the same, handing out caps for fun. Which I do agree with. It should be an honour. It kind of devalues an England cap.
Yeah.
But it's a good cause. So I mean, I'm with Jason. I probably won't watch it because it's a friendly. It's against the Americans, and you know, it's just it's a nothing game. But I don't know. We'll see.
Do you know Jurgen Klinsmann's son has been selected for this?
Really?
Americans? Yeah.
What position?
He's a goalkeeper.
Is he?
Oh, it's Jonathan, isn't it?
Jonathan Klinsmann.
Jonathan Klinsmann.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, we got George Weah, Jurgen Klinsmann. Who else is going to be, breeding? But no.
He's like third choice. I doubt he'll play, but he plays for Hertha Berlin, I think. So.
Good for him.
Really?
Yeah. I look forward to smashing 4 against him, but you know what I mean. No. To be fair to the national team for the US, they have had a bit of success with the youngsters, from what I've heard over the pond. But it's one of them. I think the game won't mean anything to them either, but it's just a sort of training game. But yeah. Anyway,
moving on.
Yes.
All right. Ollie, we'll come to you.
Me? Okay. Hang on. Well, I thought it was quite interesting. Now, I don't normally like to bring politics into it, but obviously with Brexit looming large over the past couple of days, obviously the effects on football could be sort of massive, really. And there was a Times article that I saw saying that Premier League clubs would only be allowed a maximum of 12 overseas players in the 25-man squads under new FA plans, which were preparing for Brexit. I don't know, I found that quite an interesting sort of outlook. I think it's going to be, whatever happens is going to be controversial in terms of football and what the FA plan to do. And before plans have even been announced officially, they've attracted criticism, which is a bit like the Brexit deal itself. But I don't know. I was reading a thread on Twitter as well about it, and this guy who develops a football video game, Football Manager, you might know of it. He's actually a Watford season ticket holder, and obviously he's heavily involved.
Miles Jacobson.
That's the one. He's heavily involved in that sort of stuff. But he was saying that he believes it will be detrimental to English football, seeing, because there's a requirement for more homegrown players in each squad, meaning it'll become less attractive and to TV sponsors, and there'll be a general decline of quality because, as we all, well, I don't know, it's a controversial one at the minute. We're obviously going through a purple patch with the youth teams, which is good, but a lot of people say more money needs to be injected into grassroots football, especially a lot of people getting on at the FA to do that. So I don't know, I really do think Brexit will take its toll on British football, but I think it's the next stage is very important for the FA to act in the right way, but it probably has come back to bite them on the arse because they've not invested enough in grassroots football. I mean, do you guys think this more homegrown players will be beneficial to us, or I don't know? I think it's quite restrictive myself, and I don't think it should be judged on nationality. Although I'm aware of player training per se, but I do agree that there should be more money pumped into grassroots football and a bigger emphasis on it from the FA.
Well, I think it would be definitely beneficial for the national team having more homegrown players playing in the Prem, but at the moment there's foreign players for a reason, and that's because the homegrown players maybe aren't rated highly enough by the managers, sort of Pep Guardiola and Mourinho, and they're bringing foreign players in sort of as a quick fix now and to improve them. And for the Premier League, the sort of re-establishing themselves in the Champions League, getting into the later stages of that, and I just feel maybe that from a club's point of view, maybe having more homegrown players wouldn't at the moment be an advantage to them, but for England as a whole, I think it'd definitely be a good thing to have, and maybe for watch of the Premier League as well, seeing sort of British players playing regularly, that'd be better for them to watch. I don't know.
There's always ways around it. I'm not sure if it will be implemented, but if it is, you always see it. These homegrown players that you can kind of put an asterisk on it because you end up these players sort of stockpile them in the squad and they're not actually playing. They're in the squad, but they're not actually in the team. So it's kind of an interesting one because are they even playing? They're just in the squad.
That's the thing. I mean, this is the problem. Obviously, Miles Jacobson highlighted the fact, his opinion that he believes that more homegrown Championship talent will be bought by Premier League clubs just to meet the quota, which kind of raises the value of every homegrown or English player, which kind of prices lower league clubs out of getting homegrown talent as well.
Yes.
And the problem is the Premier League and the Football League, with a lot of stuff, aren't on the same page. I mean, I know it's not directly related, but like ticketing, for instance, I mean, you're still seeing extortionate ticket prices from the Football League when the Premier League have kind of set a precedent saying 30s, 20s plenty.
Yeah,
so,
it was
£30. 30, sorry.
For away tickets, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for home.
So, I just feel like there needs to be the kind of both footballing bodies need to act in unison and work more so with probably with TV sponsors and probably the government, because I don't think straight away this sort of implementation will work, but if they kind of ease it in, maybe it can in 10-15 years time.
Yeah, I just going back to your point on Championship players being bought by Prem clubs, I'll use James Maddison as the main example. So he gets a season, 2 seasons at Norwich to develop, play regularly, and then gets his move to Leicester, and he's flourishing already. But obviously, if he's bought straight away by Leicester without having that experience, where's he going to get that experience from? Sort of, does he walk straight into the Leicester team and instantly become one of the star players like he has now without having played? I would doubt. But I think from a club point of view, obviously, and for fans as well, you see players come through an academy or you see these British players and you instantly feel some sort of connection with them because obviously you've watched the club all your life and these players have come through the club's youth system and you want to see them succeed. So I think it's difficult to sort of argue either way. I think both having foreign players and having homegrown youth system players is an advantage.
It says in this TalkSport article that only 7 of the current 20 Premier League clubs would be fine if the new rules were brought in today.
That's what I was wondering. What if they decide to bring it in? What's a club like? Some off the top of my head, West Ham comes to mind.
Yeah.
Are they just going to have to get rid of half the squad and bring? Because then what would they do? Would they
That's
go
my
down to League
concern.
One and nick a load of young players and put them in the fringes of the squad and they're never going to play? And well, how is that manageable?
That's the kind of biggest worry, because you get these kind of players like being stockpiled, like Chelsea seem to do, and like I say, I think there would have to be a sort of cooling off period, or
maybe they have to do it over a few seasons. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
because I mean, if you've got a squad that's made up of mostly foreign talent, it simply doesn't. It's not plausible for you to implement straight away. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting point.
What was it? 12 had to be English, or 12 or British, or 12 had to be. You could only have 12 foreign.
Yeah, maximum of 12. The current number is 17. But under new rules that have maybe been put forward by the FA, will be that for the Premier League at least, it go down to 12, and I think it says here that only Crystal Palace and Wolves match the 12 players itself, but Southampton, Cardiff, Everton, Burnley and Bournemouth are actually below the limit already. So I guess that's okay, but
Burnley are below it.
Yeah, apparently
Really?
so. Yeah.
Something like that.
So I don't know. I think obviously it causes more problems for one club than it does to another, but it's one of these things that will come in to shape football in a different way as the seasons go on.
Time will tell whether it actually comes in or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I think foreign players make what the Premier League what it is.
I agree.
A lot of them are different and exciting, and when you take that away from it, it loses its edge. And while I would like to see more English players getting the chance, they'll only get that chance if they're good enough at the minute. And something like that would just leave to clubs getting them in for the sake of meeting the requirements, instead of actually going and getting the best players and developing them and those that are good enough. And I would like to see like a Loftus-Cheek playing every week over like a Kovacic, but you don't want them to just start stacking them up and having them there just to meet a silly requirement, and then you'd lose some of those fantastic foreign players that we've seen over the last few years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at Manchester City, and I mean, obviously they've got like Kyle Walker and Raheem Sterling, fantastic English players, but having 12 overseas players is quite restricting, and obviously you look at the bulk of their starting 18 and it is foreign, and obviously a lot of those top class players will take up the limit, but you look at young talent that they've got, like
surely like someone like under 21s will probably be fine, I reckon.
well, this is the thing. I mean, at the minute, I think they've got to be trained by the club. I think there's one rule saying they've got to be trained by the club for 3 years before the 21st birthday. And then if they've come in from another club, they've got to be trained for so long by that team in the UK. So it's like, I hope it doesn't affect that sort of side of the football too much. But I totally agree with George. I like seeing all these different foreign players who have, a lot of them have their own styles, and they just bring a bit of something different to the game.
Funny you use City as an example, actually, because I'm sure they'd be able to find a way of cheating the rules as they have done.
I mean, that's another one. That's another thing, isn't it? Obviously, with the Der Spiegel or whatever in investigation into City and PSG's financial fair play loopholing, shall we say? Yeah. I think that's quite a controversial thing. I sent an article on it, and they're publishing as part of a series, I think one every day for this week, and it was a really interesting read because it kind of gives you an insight into the financial stuff behind the scenes, and I don't know, it kind of baffles me how there are so many loopholes, and how they've been able to kind of disguise Sheikh Mansour just sending them money through different
sponsors.
And exactly, Jason. And when you see like clubs like City, who are got a serious financial clout behind them, from investors in Abu Dhabi and the sponsors, in inverted commas, and PSG, who are obviously backed by the Qatar regime, sort of thing. It's kind of it's hard to sort of counter, I guess, because you're not just kind of sanctioning, placing sanctions against a club. You're placing it against a nation almost, and a very rich and powerful one of that.
Exactly, and that's why they've been paying off UEFA really, and they're too powerful, and UEFA just will not take action because these clubs will strike, and they will make sure that UEFA will pay if they basically fine them or throw them out of competitions. They're just too powerful, and that's just unfortunate. And
I mean, should there not be more restrictions or maybe more rigorous checks?
Well, they try to be. There are checks, but they look the other way, and that's the problem with the financial fair play. City, that's meant to, have checks and balances against City and PSG because they have enormous amounts of money, and they're meant to not spend as much as they earn, and because they don't make a lot of money through sponsors because they're not famous clubs. They're not got as much sponsors as a club like United will, but they find ways, and they're clever, and the accountants work out a way of they're kind of passing money here and there, and it's corrupt, but that's the thing, they've got to cheat their way through, and that's what they do. Simple as that, really.
Well, yeah, no, it's fair enough. I mean, they say they're going to reopen the investigation up into City, or they're considering it, but what realistically is going to come
Well, what
of
was
that?
interesting was that the Spanish league, I think it was
La Liga, yeah.
La Liga, and I think that governing body sort of said that they won't belong in UEFA unless something happens. So I think it'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they do ban City from signing players or something like that, because they've done that to Real Madrid and Atletico. They might give them like a year ban, but they won't throw them out. To be honest, if they did throw City out of the Champions League, it actually wouldn't be a loss to City. To the fans,
lost to the Champions League and fans around the world.
But to the fans, it wouldn't be, because they're not interested in the Champions League because they don't understand.
Can anyone guess what team Jason supports?
They don't know. If you ask City fans, they would agree. They don't understand. They don't like. You went to watch City. It wasn't a full house, was it?
It was close. It was fuller than I expected.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, though, like
they're a great football side. I'm not denying that, but they don't love the Champions League like other clubs do because they don't have that history.
I'm sure they prefer to be in it than not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I mean, take a minute.
I know they've had a bit of a,
they boo the UEFA
a
anthem.
strained relationship
They boo
in
the
the past.
UEFA anthem
that's
for
what I mean,
years. They booed that anthem for years, but
that's their
that
preference,
organisation,
you know what I mean?
yeah, but come on, how petty is that, booing the UEFA?
Yeah, but
the Champions League anthem is one of the best parts of the Champions League, and yet they boo the whole way through it.
Look, United fans on Twitter are petty, but I don't go around calling them out all the time.
No, I'm not. But that's at the actual game, not people on Twitter. I'm talking about people that actually go to the matches and boo the anthem because they have some vendetta against it, when actually that organisation is actually allowing them to be cheating. And it's
exactly. But if they are doing that, then they're not going to punish them, are they? Because if they were working with them, they're not going to say, well, we've given you all this money or whatever it is, and now we're going to ban you.
I agree.
I don't think they can.
Now it's been revealed, and they have to take action. Really, they should do.
I think they'll do what you've said. I think banning the signing of players like they did for, was it Real Madrid and Atletico? So yeah. But I don't think they'll go much further than that because their hands are tied. That's the problem. It's like a golden blooming handshake. I don't know. It frustrates me because who realistically can hold these clubs to account when they are backed by such rich and wealthy people that do have power? But it's annoying because it brings politics into football. Yeah. I know. I don't like,
Football's just murky and pretty dirty nowadays, isn't it? It's not.
It's rubbish, yeah.
I do wonder though if City have been preparing for some sort of sanction for quite a while now, because obviously they had the chance to sign Sanchez last year, they didn't take it. They only signed Mahrez in the summer, no real big signings. I think they turned down the chance to sign Jorginho as well.
I don't think they turned down the chance. I don't think they turned.
They lost
out to Chelsea.
But either way, they have been sort of toning down the spending.
They've not
maybe
sold Aguero either or Silva, have they? Which would have meant they had to replace and spend. Fair point.
Why would they lose Silva and Aguero?
Well, no, but
So-
if
The
well,
two
there
of
was
the best
talk about
players in the
Aguero
world.
going, but if he went, then they'd have to spend money
Yeah,
to replace him.
but
Mm.
yeah, they don't need to. The thing is, they spent that money a couple of years ago, before the start of last season, so they don't need to spend that more money because they've got such great squad of players. They've got
Yeah,
such
but
a
there's,
big.
there's always players out there, though. I don't think any team can ever be perfect. I think
No, but
every
who
team
would you say
occasionally
Man
need-
City actually need now?
Well,
I'd argue.
I don't know names off the top
No,
of
no,
my
not a
head.
player, not a player, but they don't have a
Left
weak
back.
position.
Centre
really.
half, possibly.
Only because,
Centre half. Stones and
Yeah,
Laporte,
yeah, but
Otamendi,
if
company.
one of Stones or Laporte gets injured,
to be fair, company's outgoing. He's being
Yeah.
phased out.
Yeah, but
Otamendi the same. I
You
think.
You've
can
still
always
got-
improve,
Barely played this
Jason.
season.
You can always improve.
No,
That's
but I'm
Can
saying
always
City
improve.
didn't need to spend money in the summer. They bought
No,
Mahrez.
no.
They're the best team in Europe probably at the moment.
You sure?
You
Change his tone.
don't. No, but I've said they're a corrupt club.
Organisation, yeah.
Yeah, but then,
Corrupt, but a lovely team.
but they're a fantastic team and they've got a great manager. But if you look at their team, I'd only say the position they need to strengthen is a backup to Fernandinho, which they looked at
The
Jorginho.
goalkeeper as well.
What about a left back?
Edison.
Right, if Edison gets injured,
How
who-
many
who have they
players
got
can you
at the moment?
buy?
Yeah, but who have they got?
Well,
at the
look at
moment?
Chelsea.
Maybe a backup. Yeah, you could argue for a backup, but I mean, there's not many players that would be happy to sit on the bench, would there?
Hmm.
True.
Possibly.
Left back, yeah, Mendy isn't.
Only
the
because he's
strongest.
you know what I mean.
They've got Zinchenko, I do actually rate. I think he's actually better than
Fabian Delph.
he's better than Mendy.
Stick in there.
Really?
Oh, come
Yeah.
on, Jason.
Mendy's not a good footballer. If you actually
Zinchenko was
watch
on his
him-
way to Wolverhampton in summer.
Yeah, and there's a good reason they kept him.
Oh, right, yeah.
Zinchenko's a very good footballer. He's actually
Yeah,
much
he's
better.
not-
I'm
He's
not
much.
denying that, but
Mendy's not.
Mendy's good going forward.
Yeah, but he cannot
Defensively, maybe
defend.
you could
Cannot
question-
defend.
I don't think he's that bad a defender, but
He
going
is.
forward, he's
Oh.
probably the
I
best
do think
fullback
he's
in the league.
suspect.
Useless.
I think he's suspect,
Yeah,
but
well, there's frailties, but I think he's a better left back than
Yeah.
the what was he? He used to be
attacking
a midfielder.
midfielder,
Yeah.
From
I
some
think
Ukrainian
it's
team.
it probably is the best position in midfielder. But I think every time he's played, he's slotted in really well. While Mendy's let City down a few times this season.
Mm.
Yeah, but if you gave someone like Zinchenko a whole season, chances are he'd make a mistake or two. And
Played quite a lot last season.
I don't think someone like Mendy's as susceptible to making those sort of mistakes.
Right.
we'll agree to disagree on that one because I
Yeah.
can see Jason's
gearing
point
up,
also.
the steam flying out his ears. On that note, we'll pass the baton over to Ryan. What have we got for us?
I wanted to give a mention to Norwich, who have
Wow, that was mine. Lovely.
was it?
Don't worry, we've got the backups
There you
in.
go, yeah,
We've
yeah.
got backup.
Canaries, let's go.
Obviously top of the league by 2 points. I don't think anyone pre-season would have said, right, Norwich are going to win the league. They've played really well, completely different style to last year, and they made some good signings as well. I think Timu Pukki, it's about 10 goals now. He scored one of the best strikers in the league, and just wanted to ask the question: do we think there's sort of any other clubs in the past that we may have seen that perhaps weren't expected to win the leagues, but did? Obviously, ignoring Leicester.
Cardiff last year.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's a great point.
No one expected
There's been a
Cardiff.
few, but
Reading Championship's been one of those leagues where there's always a team that you
Burnley.
just think how have they done that?
Blackpool. Well,
I
they
mean-
didn't win it, but they went up.
With Cardiff, I did wonder how the hell, like.
No, I think everyone
You
did.
know what I mean?
It was just one of those flukes, really.
Mm.
In fairness, they've got a good defensive organisation, good structure. Warnock
knows how to
Warnock knows how to do it. He does.
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
But you mean you look at Norwich?
But
I mean,
still,
what was it? They conceded 3 against Millwall on
yeah,
Saturday.
and still found a way to win.
Yeah, which no, it's good, but it's a bit
90
like a West Brom. I mean,
92nd
that
and
particular game was a bit
97th,
like a West
yeah.
Brom
Yeah.
performance, being like, oh, we're just outscoring. But
Yeah.
I agree. I
But
think
they've
made some
still won
astute-
games, and
Yeah,
that was one of the
yeah.
isolated games where they've actually won
Yeah.
by outscoring. Most of the games have been 1-0s and
Well,
3-0s.
it's funny, isn't it? Because when we played them a few weeks ago, and North End played them, they didn't look that good a side. They had a
No.
couple of threats. I thought Pookie was quite a big threat. Tetty played quite well, but they
Yeah,
didn't look like
yeah.
a side you'd say would be up there at the top
When
of the
we
league.
when
and
we
then
lost,
they
I
get that
actually
lucky
thought
goal.
that was quite a bad result. But they've gone on
Yeah.
and they've
Yeah.
shocked a few teams, and
Totally agree.
that just shows you can never at the
Yeah.
start of the season underestimate anyone. And I think it's nice to see a manager given time. I think last season people regarded Daniel Farke as this kind of fool that's come in, didn't really know what he was doing. He's a bit out there, a bit different to other type of people, managers, and he's been given time. He's brought signings in, and now they're at the top. And I think it's nice to see that because I last season I thought, look, well, this guy won't be here for much longer, and we'll never hear or see him again. But the fans really like him now, and he's
Sort of like a
getting
David
success he-
Wagner kind of feel,
success
isn't
he
it?
Well, that's the
deserves.
thing. I think they are trying to. I mean,
That was
everyone
what they
did
were
think.
going
It's
for,
a new,
wasn't
it's a
it?
new
Yeah.
cool thing now to bring in
'Cause the
Dortmund
director of
reserves
football
managers.
was at Huddersfield, weren't it?
Oh, so you look at
when Wagner
what's
was
his
there.
name, Daniel Stendhal at Barnsley, and he's another one that's just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And to his credit, he's actually doing well with Barnsley. I mean, they're absolutely
flying out.
rampant.
Yeah, but they were
Um,
expected really. They got relegated in the last year of the championship.
Yeah.
so-
They did, yeah.
I
but
think
It's not
they've
a
got the best
surprise.
squad in the
They
league
looked
for me.
hopeless at
But
times.
apparently they're playing really good football as well.
Exactly, and it's one of them. I mean, like you say, it is kind of very hipster and cool
Yeah.
at the minute. But fair play. I mean, I was one of those people last season that didn't give Daniel Farke a hope in hell. To be fair,
Most of the Norwich fans didn't, by
we-
the sounds of it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Norwich, what was it like? 27k season ticket holders or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great fan base, but what else is there to do over there? And no, but like,
Calling out Norwich.
when they do get behind the manager at Carrow Road, it's a raucous atmosphere, I'm sure. And it was nice to see. I was watching the highlights, and it was a little bit sloppy at the back with Tim Close, but I think looking at the squad, they have made some decent signings, and the good thing with Norwich is they've got a great academy that they'll just reproduce
Yeah.
players. I mean,
That's true.
Maximilian Aarons at the minute, I'd never heard of him before this season, to be completely honest with you, but he's come through and he's fantastic. What's his name? Lewis,
The left
Yeah.
back.
yeah,
The two
Scored
Mercuries
at Chelsea,
as
didn't he,
well.
last year?
yeah, something like
He
that.
scored at Chelsea.
And it's good that you can actually rely on your own youth system. Tom Cantwell up top, about 20 years old. He's come out of nowhere. Well, to us because we're obviously Northern.
Do we expect them to stay there though? Do we think they'll last the course?
I'm not sure how long it'll last, but they'll enjoy it for the meantime anyway.
Mm.
And
There's no one really going out there and threatening.
no, it just shows what a good string of results can do.
Yeah,
They don't-
because it's such a weird league this year. The Championship
Mm.
top six is just swapping every week. Teams just coming and going, and
I don't think there's one team is that you can really say
There
they're
isn't.
going to walk away.
Last
with it.
year it was
every team has a weakness.
yeah. Last year it was obvious that Wolves were going to win the league.
Newcastle the year before.
Apart from Adam, everyone thought they were going to win the league easily. But no one else this year really looks that strong.
I mean, it's quite interesting because you look at QPR. Obviously, it is. I mean, it's bewildering for me because I was having QPR to go down in my predictions. I think pre-season, but
Well, they signed
big
Oh, yeah,
Mackie,
Hamed and
Hamed, aye.
well,
Yeah.
Jeff Cameron as
Jeff
well.
Cameron.
He's made a difference.
astute signing again. But McLaren's got them working, and he, they're on the up. And then you look at Aston Villa with Dean Smith and John Terry. They're now on the up.
I can see them.
thrashing. Yeah.
Challenging top six.
Can you? Yeah.
Great win for him. At Derby.
Grealish, Abraham, Balassi. They got a good
But
side.
that's the thing. I mean, Dean Smith did what looked like the obvious thing to do, which was play the Premier League players that they had on loan. We said
Put
a few
Yannick
weeks
Bolasie
ago.
in the team.
Yeah,
It's not hard, is it?
Yannick Bolasie was it first starting that, and his legs are pretty much elastic. I mean, I remember he ran down the left flank and absolutely did. Was it Bogle or someone in on right back for Derby, and he whipped a ball in, and who was it? Was it John McGinn? Boosh.
Yes.
Back in that, you know what I mean? It was great to see, but just simple things, and Dean Smith's a great manager, and he's done what we all thought he'd do. But then you look at West Brom, I mean, they kept. Oh no, they didn't keep a clean sheet, but they almost kept a clean sheet against Leeds.
Hamed them, didn't they?
Yeah, and
That
that's
must
the
have been
thing.
hard for you to take, Jason. Leeds,
I didn't actually watch it, but
Well,
I was surprised.
it is weird because they had 28% possession.
Yeah, but that happens against Leeds all the time. Leeds come out and dominate against every team, but yeah, it was a bit. It was a bit of a shock. No, that's the first time this season where they've been battered. But
Yeah.
Whoa! What
They
about
have
in the
lost a
cup
few.
against us?
not really.
2-0.
Cup against us. I mean,
That was the first time Leeds have been battered this
Didn't
season.
get a
I don't
sniff.
remember any game this year they've been hammered.
No.
Yeah, but that can happen under Bielsa. He only plays one way and it can backfire.
True. I mean, thing is with West Brom, they really do have that quality and strength in depth to sort of supplement their sort of style of play. Darren Moore, you know what I mean?
Who?
It's Darren Moore.
Oh.
Manager of West Brom, Jason.
I said Darren Moore.
We talked about him last week.
But like,
not last week.
looking
It,
at Jay
whatever it
Rodriguez,
was.
I mean, they were that strong. They left Dwight Gale on the bench, and I was like, crikey, you know what I mean? Get him on.
he scored, didn't he? Did he come on and
He
score?
did. He came on, and
He
he
did.
did a
All
bit of a
the
swirl.
West Brom goals are ridiculous. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen. They were all
I mean, I've got to say,
unbelievable
one
goals.
of them was a goalkeeper error for me from Peacock Farrell.
I don't
can't
rate him
actually-
actually.
Long range effort from I think it was Jet.
He's
Matt
a
Phillips.
weakness. Peacock Farrell, I think.
Give him time. Give
I mean,
him time.
I think he could be a
Give De Gea
decent
time.
keeper. He's at international level.
Comparing
already.
David Day to Bailey Peacock Farrell. I'm just saying this season I think he's a weakness.
I think it's nice to see him starting over a loanee keeper from Chelsea.
Who I don't rate either.
Jamal Blackman. Okay, Jason, thanks for your
I think
opinion.
He's not had a chance, has he? I mean, you could
Yeah.
come in and keep 46 clean sheets, and you don't
Yeah.
know. So
He has played a couple, but not much. Yeah, Peacock
know.
Farrell is just a bit lightweight, but I suppose he's still young.
I mean, to be fair, I swear Calvin Phillips was playing at centre back, weren't he? Or at one point maybe in the game he was. And
He's
Yeah.
quite versatile. He's
Yeah.
quite a good player.
Yeah,
Stuart,
he's got-
Stuart Dallas
Matt
is
is
at right back
Klitsch.
as well.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, Ayling's injured at the moment.
The squad does look a bit light to me. I'm
Mm.
looking at this bench here. A lot of it's made up of sort of academy products.
Yeah.
Sort
There's a lot of
loan
youth
players.
in
Well, no one
the
expected
squad.
Leeds to be up
Yeah.
there this year, really. I mean, last
Did
season
they
they were
not?
I think,
No,
I think
they
they
did.
did.
They didn't, they didn't.
With
I think they
Bielsa
did.
coming in,
Jason,
I think
Last season-
Jason, don't play it down.
last season they were
They got
mid-table.
Marcelo Bielsa, a
Last
top class coach. They made
No.
signings like Patrick Bamford forking out money,
I know, but he's not.
as well as class
He's
A
injured, though.
signings like Jack Harrison.
No, but the bulk of that side,
Baker.
they've not
Blackman.
played.
Yeah,
What
but
do you mean they've
Bamford's
not
injured.
played?
Baker's not
Bamford's got a knee
played.
injury.
Yeah, no, Baker's not.
Brown, has he played?
No, not playing one. He's injured. Baker's not played. Harrison's not played. And Blackman's not played.
no,
Bamford's played a
excuse me,
bit.
They
but
have played.
the bulk of that. the bulk,
Harrison has
Harrison
played.
plays
No,
every
but he's
game
not
for
been.
us.
The core of that side has been pretty much developed by Bielsa. None of those players.
Oh, you mean he's coming this season?
He's come in and coached that side to play great attacking football, but that side last season was a mid-table team. He's done wonders really because that team isn't of the level of a West Brom,
Well,
even
yeah,
a
but I
Middlesbrough
class-
and Aston Villa. They really shouldn't be up there, but they are.
Oh, I'd like to think we'd all disagree with you there, Jason.
I don't
because-
understand what that team is not a Bielsa. He's not bought hardly any of those players.
Yeah, but as a top
maybe it
class
isn't, but
coach with the
Yeah,
quality of the
He's a quality
squad,
coach. But people said, he has no experience in the Championship. It's going to take a lot of time. But he kind of went in there and had a great start, and he surprised many people.
I think you expect that from a coach like him who's had such a good record to come in and make them a sort of top team regardless of what
It's
the,
just the
what
football he's
quality of the
played.
squad is.
Some
I
of those
think it is a good enough
players
squad.
you wouldn't expect to be playing football like that.
I agree, but I still think with the signings they had made and the
Yeah.
coach they had, people would naturally expect them to be at least
Definitely.
probably playoffs. Not I wouldn't say
It's not like they're walking away with the league. They are
No.
third, but they're
Yeah.
easily they're only 3 points off seventh. So
yeah.
he's not come in and turned them into a.
No, it's just the
Some
style of
force,
it's just the
he's
style
just-
of football that I'd never expected. I never expected players like Liam Cooper to be passing around the back and keeping the ball in the. I mean,
You rate
it's
Liam
been
Cooper?
unbelievable. He's an alright defender, but it's just a style of football, not the actual results. Results have been very good as well, but the style has been the biggest shock for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, moving on to Middlesbrough, was it 2-0 win against
Wigan.
Of course, our local rivals.
Functional again. I heard it wasn't
I mean, to be fair,
vintage.
was it the first goal they've scored at Riverside since September?
Yeah.
Jordan Hugill penalty and a
Dower
Jordan
team to watch.
Hugill thumping volley.
yeah, you know,
It's a horrible team to watch, aren't they, Middlesbrough?
They're effective though, aren't they?
yeah,
They
exactly.
win
have
games.
been-
That's what Pulis does. He
don't
never
think the
plays
top
good
two-
football. But
They've
No,
they've
I
not
agree.
really been that effective this year. I mean, in the last few weeks, sorry, that was the first win in a while.
Was it in 5?
Yeah,
Something like that.
first win for West
Yeah.
Brom as well in 5. So it's nip and tuck at that. And
Norwich
top.
and Middlesbrough, I don't think would be great additions if they did go up to the
No.
Premier
Who-
League.
who-
We've seen them all before. Haven't
Who
we?
would you like to come up? At the minute?
Leeds,
Derby.
Sheffield United, and Derby. All
Sheffield.
actually, and Nottingham Forest.
Notts Forest, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I find Notts Forest a bit odd.
Nottingham. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Nottingham.
It's
Yeah.
offensive
Oh,
to
yeah.
Forest fans. if you call
They
them
don't
Notts.
like it down at East Midlands, do they? Notts.
No, they don't. I was actually subject to a bit of abuse on Twitter when I called them Notts Forest once.
Oh, Jesus. Wouldn't like to be in your shoes. No, but I don't know. Notts Forest obviously were big spenders. I mean, Lewis Grabban has scored a lovely amount of goals this season. I don't know how many, to be honest with you.
I would have been impressed
9.
if you knew how many.
Yeah, 9.
According to this, 9.
There we go. Ryan's
Bloody hell, on the
stats
ball there.
Aye.
Joe Lolly as well has been good.
Yeah, good for him.
I just think Karanka it's another manager that I think you could expect them to be a bit more attractive to watch. He's so negative, really is. But if they get top 6, then he's probably done what most people expected. It's just they're not very good to watch at all. And
I feel like for them it'll be very unfortunate if they didn't get top 6. Not unfortunate, but annoying for him, because this season in particular they went out and spent
a fair bit of money
sizable
on
fee.
Texera. I think they bought on someone else.
Teixeira, João Carvalho,
Yeah.
Gil Diaz on loan.
I think you'd expect them. I think it'd be very disappointing if they didn't get top 6.
Exactly.
Very disappointed if they didn't get top 6 this year
Exactly, I agree. But they're still signing players. Like they've just signed that Iranian Ansarifidad or whatever from Olympiacos, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like they did it last season as well. Just you're not even.
The new owners have come in and they started to spend, but I wouldn't mind Derby to come up.
See, I've never been a fan of Derby.
I love Frank Lampard's
Imagine
Derby.
Sky's reaction though if
Frank Lampard's
Derby
Derby County. Everyone loves Frank Lampard and his team. Mason Mount, we all love a bit of Mason, and
Harry Wilson. As well.
they've got a nice team.
I'm
shocked. I know, but he's come in and developed them and give them a chance to play.
You're not shouting about Jack Marriott, are you? Martin Weigl.
I like
Richard
Marriott.
Keogh.
Keogh.
I don't think anyone's shouting about Keogh.
They were so unlucky not to get at least a draw against Chelsea in that League Cup match.
I don't know.
They absolutely battered them.
I think maybe because of the last time they were in the Prem, that probably mars my opinion.
But there was just a completely different side now, and just I suppose would they be allowed? Would the Mason Mount would probably go back to Chelsea? Wilson probably go back to Liverpool. So they might not even, if they did go up, they'd probably have to sign a lot of players. I just like how Lampard's gone about it. He's attacked the league with he plays good football, and he's just got a nice way of managing. Really, it's quite refreshing.
I think January will be interesting because you've got a load of clubs there that could pump a load of money in if they needed to. And
can Stoke City pump more money in?
That could be the difference.
Spent,
even though money isn't an automatic fix, but
I agree.
Stoke have been
Swansea,
the biggest disappointment.
They got a 1-0 win. Or was it 2-0?
They've had to sell a lot of players. Again,
I think it was 1-0.
Was it 1-0? Billy Mackay. Yeah, first goal
against Bolton, who are on a real downward slope.
Yeah, they started well, Bolton, but then they are relegation candidates, aren't they? The way they are poor. They just stayed up by the skin of their teeth last year.
I'd be very surprised if they stayed up.
Yeah, I would be. Well, there are a few poor sides at the bottom. Really,
I agree. I mean, Reading were
Ipswich being one.
Ipswich and Reading. It was a pulsating game for a bottom of the table clash, but that's because both defences were absolute.
Yeah.
Very bad.
It was kind of a game Ipswich had to win, in my opinion. If you don't win that, then you are.
Well, Paul Lambert said, didn't he, that it was the best half he'd ever seen from any side he managed in first half.
Out of any of his teams. Yeah, I thought he was a bit.
I think he's
weird
trying
to say that, but
he's trying to instill some confidence in that team.
It's fair enough.
Obviously, Tom's not here, but do we think Ipswich can stay up, or have they got any chance of staying up?
In fairness, I haven't watched much of them. Only one game.
I think they can stay up.
If you can get Freddie Sears,
there's other three very.
I'd be
poor
surprised.
teams.
I'd be surprised. They're gonna have to go on a winning run, and I think they've won one game or 0.
One game out of 17 doesn't read well. But
they're gonna have to win 3 or 4 in the bounce.
I don't think they'll give up. Personally, with Lambert coming in, he knows how to get a result. And then I don't know. It's a tough one. I think it'll be between Ipswich and Hull for that bottom spot because
Hull are starting to get results.
Well, yeah. I mean, the scoring goal, Fraser Campbell. I think it's the first time he's scored in 3 or 5 consecutive games since his last spell, which was in 2009. And it's like it's nice to have a striker scoring for you, but it's keeping him out. And the quality of goals they conceded against Birmingham, Oh my God.
What a game that
They
was.
gifted Che Adams two absolute easy
Oh,
goals.
pass back.
Yeah.
Hull have more quality than Ipswich by far, in my opinion.
I agree,
They've got
but
some good
I
individuals.
don't like
Jared
the manager.
Bowen.
I don't think Nigel Hodgkins is an inspiring sort
No,
of.
Who
he
did you say that?
Nigel isn't.
What player?
Jared Bowen.
Jared Bowen.
Oh, yeah.
Grisicky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
He
They've
never
got
plays.
good
He's sort of in
players.
and out, isn't he?
John Terrell, Jackson Irvine. You look at these players and you're like, well, surely they can keep them up because they've all been decent
You
enough.
think so?
Grisicky should be in that league, really.
I mean, he's getting on that 30 odd, isn't he? So
Is he?
Yeah, 30.
Wow.
I know.
Big
so
fact.
I don't know. I think personally for me, I think I can see.
I wouldn't
Bolton.
discount Rotherham either. I know I've been a bit of
You
praise.
love
Had a bit of praise.
Rotherham.
I have had a bit of praise for Rotherham, but they are only 2 points,
Oh,
and that's.
crap.
Yeah.
I don't know if going and spoiling games for the whole season is enough to keep you up. So.
That
I mean,
Michael Smith again on target.
Spoiling it.
I don't understand how
Spoiling
he's actually
presence.
scoring goals, and
He's
that's
a
not.
he's a presence, isn't he? Up front, he sort of
Somehow, I
He,
mean,
Yeah,
he must be
he-
being coached
he gets his
perfectly.
head on the ball.
Oh,
Doesn't he? He
in the
gets
centre
couldn't
of
get in a
doping
Portsmouth
scandal. Aye. I mean, he could be another Samir Nasri, who
Wow.
just to put it out there
That's a big
has had a medical.
change of discussion.
I know. Well, I was just thinking of doping.
Michael Smith said Sammy and that.
Who is apparently joining West Ham? It'd be the most West Ham of signings, that wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it? I find it
signing
terribly wrong.
overpaid.
Arbeloa ever.
Yeah.
Past it.
Zabaleta.
I mean, I thought they were past that, but obviously
Clearly
they're
not.
not.
They can't resist. I just don't think they can resist.
I mean,
An agent probably goes to David Goal and David Sullivan. You interested? You interested? And he's just like, yes, go on then.
Rock, paper, scissors.
oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking that reminded me of a referee that's been
Yeah,
suspended.
I saw that as well.
for doing rock, paper, scissors because he forgot his coin.
I don't see what's wrong with that. I think
find
it's quite
it odd.
intuitive, really.
Yeah, I mean, what else was he going to do? Just flick an imaginary coin up or
Yeah.
what? I mean, they said he should have been more prepared, but what do you do in that situation?
It's hardly crime of the century, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, but anyway, that was just a bit of digression.
If West Ham do sign Nasri, how many
can't play till
players?
January
They've got
anyway.
Felipe Anderson. I know Yarmolenko's injured now.
Manuel Lanzini.
And he's also injured, yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's the right signing. I think Nasri's is kind of a toxic individual.
I agree. No, I mean, you look at what his wife puts out as well.
The drip doctors
Big
think,
state.
She puts some
yeah,
proper controversial material out.
he's
and
not a nice character, is he?
Yeah, I think they probably suit each other by the looks of it. Because I agree. I've never looked at him and gone, he's a nice player.
No.
But
Good footballer, what he was.
Well, he was,
At
but-
Arsenal and spells at City, but
I think he just lost his way. I mean, he was lost at Antalyaspor in Turkey, and he didn't make great impressions.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what shape he's in. I don't believe he's the sort of player that he'd keep
yeah.
like in shape. Personally, I think he'll be
No.
a bit overweight, and I think even in January when he can play, or if he does start training with him now, he's going to take a couple of months to sort of get
Yeah.
back up to match fitness.
It's
But
just an
you
you
know.
I don't see what you get out of signing these players. It never seems to work out with the Evers,
luxury
Zabaletas.
players.
Yeah.
that's the thing. Zabaleta still plays for him, doesn't he? I mean,
I
he
know.
was.
But he's a hard-working, loyal player that has
Gives
done
everything.
done an all right job. I put Nasri in that Adebayor kind of mold.
Yeah.
Where what did you get out of it really? These players are just they're only really
Yeah,
there
he's had
for
his best moments.
greedy
and he's
players.
gonna-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see him in a West Ham shirt, having played for City and Arsenal.
Yeah.
But I agree, I can't see him making great strides. But I mean, it'll be great to see him back. I'm sure.
Wonder if he'll bring the snood back out.
Oh
for,
Jesus!
Banned now.
the band.
The band.
Why are they
You can't
banned?
wear them
Really?
because I think you can sort of strangle yourself
Die.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not allowed to wear them in a
Gloves
game.
then at least.
Yeah.
Short
Yeah.
sleeves and gloves.
Never understood that one. Short sleeves and gloves doesn't really make sense. If you're cold, you wear long sleeves, don't you?
I was always the same. I wear an Under Armour. I mean, even in summer, an Under Armour
Yeah.
and long sleeves and gloves.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Why would you? I don't understand why you'd wear short sleeve and gloves. But
No, well, I think it's one of those fashion
Fashion.
statements.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, talking of the statement, it's just been confirmed that Harry Redknapp's going into the jungle,
Lovely.
hasn't it? And I know a lot of people make jokes out of it, but I think it'll be actually quite a good addition to the jungle. I mean, he's commanding a big fee, biggest ever.
He loves transfer fees.
£500,000 just to go in the jungle. I think it's going to be quite an
That's
interesting.
extortionate.
Yeah, exactly. Quite an interesting.
I don't think he'll be able to do any. I'm not sure he'll be able to do any of the trials. That's not being harsh. Just with his age and his physical condition, he's not.
Yeah.
Going to be able to tie him up on some.
I mean, he's got 4 weeks in the jungle. Is he going to be able to get through 4 weeks of
4 days
sleeping in a hammock?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
On the floor.
Fair, he would eat
How will he cope?
Anything.
How will he cope not knowing the football score? Someone's gonna have to read that. He's gonna have to get a deck to tell him some of the scores.
I was just thinking who his letter from home would be from Peter Crouch or
Jermaine Defoe, Cranshaw.
From Jake Humphrey.
No, but it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think we all get an insight into sort of what he's done in the past, and I think he's quite an interesting character. I mean, it was interesting in past series to look at Kieran Dyer and the sort of mental health aspects. Wayne Bridge.
They just came across as down to earth, normal guys, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think Harry is actually quite like the
he's
wheeler
funny.
dealer
He's got a nice sort of persona to him. I think I've seen him on BT and he's on the radio as well with a lot of his great anecdotes. So I'm sure we'll hear more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But it was interesting because I was just looking up what he's actually been up to, and he oversees the Central Coast Mariners in Australia, which I found quite interesting. Which I don't know.
I'm not sure how much overseas he does.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe he's gone to Australia, so it's a business trip, really.
They were the club that got bought, weren't they?
Yeah, I thought they were. Yeah.
So
well, they tried him. They had him on trial, didn't they? And they realised it's actually not worth signing a 100-metre runner.
Oh well, I tell you what, my grandma, when we were watching the Manchester derby, we were suggesting Bolt go to United.
What's that? Sorry.
My grandma, she was saying, why don't they get Usain in? Because
why?
Well, she said you needed a bit more pace up top. And I was like,
bit more pace.
I was like, well, I mean, Lukaku's a big oaf, but
we also need someone to control a football.
Exactly.
And Bolt can't do that.
Yeah, but no, it's interesting. And like I say, I'm looking forward to seeing. I wish Harry
well.
The best of luck. Yeah.
Along with Emily Attack.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't. I mean, I'm a big fan of Sayed Khan. She got a great role in Corrie. But back to the football. No, just another quick short story that I saw. Craig Sampson of St Mirren has retired with immediate effect to take up a coaching role midway through the season. This is at Sunderland. He was managed by Jack Ross, who's Sunderland manager at St Mirren, and he's played 18 games this season already, and we're just halfway through the season, and he's decided. I found it completely bizarre. He's retired with immediate effect
as a player.
Yeah, and took up a coaching role.
He must be on more money. Sure.
I mean, where does that leave St Mirren?
How old is he?
34.
What position?
Goalkeeper.
First crikey. He's being a goalkeeper coach at Sunderland.
I mean, he was their first choice keeper as well, and I'm like, I mean, imagine if, I don't know, someone like Bartosz Białkowski did that at Ipswich.
I can't think of any similar situations.
No.
In football. There was a cricketer. What was the cricketer that decided to go into?
Oh, it was. The spinner Zafir Ansari.
Yeah,
Zafir
Ansari. Yeah.
He played. Clever guy, got a double first, I think, at Cambridge. And
Really?
He went on tour with England to, was it Pakistan?
Bangladesh.
I
think. He played a couple of games.
No, he played in Pakistan, I think.
He got called up
in
for
the
Bangladesh
UAE.
team.
Yeah, he played in the UAE.
Yeah.
But just said he'd always wanted to play. Wanted to study and become a lawyer.
He got called up the winter before, and then I think he broke his finger against Lancashire, and then that reeled him out, and he came back.
And he'd probably earn more money as well as a lawyer than he would as a cricketer. He's a good cricketer, but that's just where his passions lie. So.
I don't know. I just found it very odd. I mean,
I think also Harry Redknapp, going back to Harry Redknapp, he left QPR, didn't he? 'Cause he broke his knee. I just don't think he fancied it. What was it? No, sorry, was it Birmingham?
No, he had a heart problem, didn't he? He couldn't attend a couple of games.
No, it was a knee injury.
It was both, I think.
A knee operation. Yeah,
but he did have heart.
But then he sort of come back straight away and then just went back into work. So I'm not quite sure if he just thought this team isn't very good.
I know. That's an odd point, Jason. But yeah. Oh, and as well, another role he holds is director of Evo Stick Premier South team at Wimborne Town.
Really?
Yeah, but he's like, I feel like he's one of
A busy man.
He'd be the same as Tim Sherwood at Swindon. I don't think they actually do anything.
No, they're just like a figurehead. They're just
Yeah.
like, that's my job, but you don't actually.
Pointless
do
roles in football. Aye, but yeah. And to be fair, it's always the same. All these sort of titles, like difference between a head coach and a manager. I'm like, I don't really care what they're called, just as long as they manage my team well.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
head
what I mean?
coach is more of a
German term.
he just coaches the players rather than gets involved with the recruitment side and the and the scouting and that. That's more of a continental kind of role.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it bizarre. Like, you're a manager, you should manage.
If you don't manage
all
the club
aspects.
anymore, there's different roles. The coach manages the players,
That's why I find it bizarre.
and the manager is and the manager role is now kind of the director of football. Which I think.
But what's the director of football then?
Well, they oversee the recruitment, scouting, bring players in.
So is it a director of football and a head coach? Can you not have a
They
director
work
of football
together.
and a manager?
No, because the manager is that managing role is not. It's not useful anymore. It's not. There's no defined role anymore because the manager isn't the manager. The manager's the coach now. The coach is the coach, and the manager isn't an actual role anymore. That's the director of football.
I think some managers, especially in the lower leagues, are more.
Yeah, in the
orientated.
lower leagues, the manager does everything, and he picks the players and he recruits. But in a lot of the top clubs now, you need a specific person to work on recruitment.
Yeah,
If you look at Liverpool, for example, there's so many directors. That's it used to be at Seville. Roma now, yeah. And he works that, and they have specific roles now. And the problem with United is we don't really have a director of football. But Liverpool, it's worked, and City, they've got the El Barcelona, that Begristan. He does the Begristan. He does the. You not heard of him?
Sounds like an Eastern
great
European
pronunciation.
country.
He does the recruitment, and he brought in a lot of the players.
Oh, what about the City one?
What?
Oh, that. No, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Berestein.
Tiki.
Bergerestein.
That's what I just said.
You said Liverpool.
I said City.
No,
I
you
said
didn't say
Liverpool. I said Liverpool, then I said City.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
they've
it's
got
definitely...
Soriano and Begristan from Siki Begristan. And Liverpool,
quite a good effort.
Liverpool as well. I don't know who it is, but they've got like two or three people that do the transfer. And
It's like,
scouting.
is that the same role as Ian Ayre had and Diego Camoli, who's gone?
Damien
AC?
Camoli was the director
Yeah.
of football. He
was, yeah.
didn't do very well. They brought in Carroll and Charlie Adam.
Oh yeah, but that was during. Oh yeah.
Paul Konchesky.
Crap.
Yeah, they had he was a bad example of it. You've got to get the
I'm sure he's at AC Milan now, or he was. I
Yeah.
don't know whether he's left that since. But
yeah, but Tottenham are also appointed good director, but they've got to work well with the manager. That's why the coach. Sorry.
So what does what's Ed Woodward's title?
That's the problem. He does the direct. He's meant to be doing the transfer, and he does the commercial side. While it needs to be split up, he should focus on the commercial because that is what he's brought into the club for. When we need someone to buy the players, Mourinho is kind of an old style coach and manager in terms of that he wants to pick the players as well, but he needs to work with the director of football. While Ferguson was an old style manager as well.
Yeah,
and he that's why him and David Gill just worked together.
Yeah.
But
Like
we need to
Arsenal
we need
David
to
Dean and
and
Wenger.
Wenger. But now Arsenal have Wenger used to do everything, and now since last year you could kind of see the movements were made towards Wenger being phased out because they brought in a few German scouts and people from Dortmund, and now they've got a proper operations side there. So that's why they made some good signings, Guendouzi and Torreira. They've brought in players and they work well with Emery.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, it is probably quite important nowadays with all the money, like, because I think football's become a lot more commercialised, but like every player you sign, unfortunately, you can't just sign them for footballing reasons nowadays. It's all about marketing and commercial. I mean, Who was it? I mean, Ibrahimovic. I don't know. He was out for most of the second season, and he got that contract, didn't he?
Well, no, he got brought in because
first season he scored 27 goals.
First season he was very good, yeah.
Yeah, but like I mean, that
second season he was brought in. We thought Mourinho wanted him in because he loved him, and he thought
he was injured, weren't he?
Well, he came back after his knee injury.
The thing is, for me, I
don't think he was ever fit, really.
That's why I think it was more marketing and commercial decision.
I think the Pogba signing thing is Woodward is happy to spend the money if he knows he's going to get it back through marketing.
He's very good that way, isn't he?
With the but that's not what
a football club should be run.
No,
you
should have the balance though. I like the balance where we still make the money, but we also have someone who knows about football and there's a clear strategy.
You see, I agree, but to me as well, I think the brand of football of a club should sell itself. And you shouldn't need... if players fit into that brand of football, they make a name for themselves through their
but you
own
also need to have commercial and sponsors.
But having players like Pogba, who are sort of mavericks, okay, it's very good for commercial, but don't benefit the team as such.
It does, because he's still our best player and still a very, very good footballer. So
he's a great footballer, but has he got a title challenge this season? No,
but he can't do that on his own. When you've got players like Chris Smalling and Ashley Young, you're not going to win the league anyway. So
yeah, but what I'm saying is he should be a player.
He still scored three.
When you're spending that amount of money,
I think he scored 4.
Take you to that next level.
I think he scored 4 or 5 goals this season. Got 4 or 5 assists.
Lovely.
Yeah. Right, so we'll leave you there, Jason, with that thought. I know you're very opinionated.
An hour and 16. So we may have to wrap it up there.
Oh, have we got the predictions? Just to wrap it up.
Predictions. Well, yeah, we can round up last week's horror show from everyone. Quite tight actually with the predictions. We've had 2 weeks since we last recorded. Jason and Tom, they are on 42 points. I am on 41, and Ollie and Ryan are sitting at the foot on 39. But from me, that's it for this week's episode, and from everyone else, we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye.
Jason, do you want to say bye?
Bye.